I loved her for 7 years, but she called that love worthless. The day I was diagnosed with cancer, she and my best friend's younger brother publicly announced her pregnancy. This is the story of how her betrayal destroyed us. Her love was worthless. The day I was diagnosed with stomach cancer, my wife Victoria became pregnant with the child of her first love's younger brother, Dylan. She and Dylan publicly announced it on social media. Baby, welcome to the world. Mom and Dad will always love you. Dylan replied, be a good baby. Margaret will have her hands full later. When I confronted her, she showed no remorse. What's wrong with leaving the Chen family a family legacy? If you're infertile, don't blame others. I didn't argue or make a scene when I picked up my diagnosis report and left. Victoria cuddled in his arms, her eyes full of mockery. He's just a good little dog. In a few days, he'll come crawling back to me. But later, Victoria, like she was insane, aborted the child and searched everywhere for me. Victoria had just finished showering. She wrapped her arms around me, her voice gentle. How about we have the baby and raise him as your own? The child in my womb is also David's bloodline. The friend Victoria spoke of was named David, her first love and my best friend. Victoria broke up with David after he went abroad for further studies, and he met an untimely death overseas. The child Victoria was carrying now belonged to Dylan, her first love's younger brother. Since we started dating, Victoria had never let me touch her, not even hold her hand. Now she was hugging me. In the past, I would have been overjoyed. Seeing my silence, Victoria suddenly raised her voice. Ethan, you're infertile. What's wrong with me wanting a child? What's wrong with leaving the Chen family a family legacy? Can't you be more understanding? Every word pierced my heart, and my fingers involuntarily clenched until they turned white. The question on my lips withered unspoken. I tried to talk to her calmly. I'm sorry, wife, but I really can't treat Dylan's child as my own. I can agree to anything else, okay? Before I could finish my sentence, Victoria scoffed, threw my hand away, and pointed at my nose, cursing. Ethan, you're not even fit to tie Dylan's shoelaces. It's a privilege for you to be the father. Don't be ungrateful. Every single word from Victoria was like countless needles piercing my bones. My stomach churned with waves of pain. Facing my aggressive girlfriend, an immense sense of powerlessness washed over me. I was truly exhausted. 3 hours earlier, Victoria and Dylan had publicly held a banquet to celebrate the arrival of the child. When I arrived, the two were sharing a celebratory toast. The people around them kept cheering them on. Kiss! Kiss! Victoria, with her flushed face and alluring eyes, sweetly interrupted the cheering. Stop it, you guys. She was wearing a white dress, with a slight bump on her stomach. Dylan's large hand wrapped around her waist, and he spoke up to defend her. What's the big deal? Victoria's shy, so just let it go. Victoria shyly nestled into his arms. In the 5 years I had been with Victoria, she had never shown me such a shy expression. She had always been distant. Someone noticed me at the door and called out to the two of them, Ethan's here. Stop messing around. She peeked her head out from Dylan's embrace. Her joyful tone vanished as she questioned me. What are you doing here? I was about to ask her if she was really pregnant. A box fell out of my pocket. As I reached to pick it up, Dylan snatched it away. It was a birthday gift I had saved several months of my salary to buy for Victoria. He picked up the card and read its contents aloud, his voice sarcastic. Ethan, you're truly a good dog. Such a simp. A few people couldn't help but laugh, then feigned apology and told Dylan to apologize to me. Victoria scoffed, her beautiful, upturned eyes glancing at me with disdain. He only pursued me by simping. He really is a simp. The entire room burst into laughter, and looks of disdain and contempt fell upon me. Dylan escalated, taking out a ring with a wronged expression. What a beautiful ring. It's so pretty. But no one has ever given me a ring. Victoria wore a faint smile, stroking the top of his head. If you like it, it's yours. Someone advised Victoria that ring is Ethan's birthday gift to you. It might not be appropriate to give it to Dylan. Before Victoria could answer, Dylan threw a tantrum. He lifted his hand, threw the ring on the ground, and stomped on it twice. Who wants a kept man's ring? Dylan's face was full of disdain, his tone contemptuous, and he spat on the ring. Ethan's infertile, and his things bring bad luck. The secret I had confided in my loved one now became a sharp knife plunged into my chest. Unable to bear it any longer, I rushed towards Dylan and raised my hand. Victoria stood in front of him, angered. What are you making a scene about now? Dylan speaks his mind. Some things he says aren't what he truly means. You got some nerve hitting a kid? How embarrassing. The atmosphere was extremely tense. I couldn't bring myself to lay a hand on Victoria, so I left the private room, back home, overwhelmed by emotion. The burning pain in my stomach intensified. I quickly swallowed a few painkillers to stop the pain from spreading. Curled up, I dozed off on the sofa. In the middle of the night, I heard the click of a door opening. Victoria was back. She draped herself over Dylan, and Dylan softly whispered her name. Victoria playfully rubbed against Dylan's collarbone. I don't want to go back. Will you stay with your sister? Dylan saw me and deliberately asked her, his gaze provocative. What if Ethan gets angry? Victoria shook her head, putting a finger to his lips. Who cares about him? I only truly feel like a woman when I'm with you. Dylan, I love you. Victoria passionately confessed her love. In 7 years of our relationship, she had never once said she loved me, even when our relationship was at its best. When I pestered her, asking if she loved me, she would still look impatient and say dismissively, "How old are you? Still talking about love all the time. How childish is that?" Dylan placed Victoria on the sofa and left. Victoria lay on the sofa and kicked me with her foot. "Go get me a glass of milk." I got up, took a bottle of cold milk from the fridge, and handed it to her. Victoria looked disgusted. "It's so cold. Why isn't it warm?" I used to warm her milk, worried that cold milk would be bad for her stomach, just as I was about to ask her about the child. A new message popped up in the work group. "Congratulations to Dylan for securing a 20 million big deal." The group chat was full of compliments. Dylan received a 100,000 bonus. This deal looked familiar. Seeing the familiar partner, my body couldn't help but tremble with grievance. It was a partnership I had negotiated, having drunk day and night until my stomach bled, yet it was casually credited to Dylan, and I, who had given my all, ended up with nothing. I held up my phone screen to Victoria, my voice trembling uncontrollably. Why? Why would you give him the deal I worked so hard to secure? Seeing my agitation, a flicker of panic crossed her eyes, then she instantly regained composure. "Oh, I know you worked hard, but there will be other deals, for Dylan's sake." She coaxed me for the first time, clinging to my arm playfully. "Can't you do it for his brother's sake? Just let him have it. You're always the most understanding." In the 7 years I had been with Victoria, whenever we argued, she would give me the silent treatment. Until I processed my emotions myself, desperately trying to please her until she was happy, she chattered endlessly, defending Dylan. "Dylan's just a kid. It's not easy for him. We should help him out if we can. It's just one deal." I was speechless and laughed, forcefully shaking off her arm and retorting, "I drank until my stomach bled just to secure that partnership. And in your mouth, it's just one deal?" My heart felt as if a large hand was clutching it, the pain making it hard to breathe. She knew full well that I had risked my life to get that business opportunity, yet she casually gave it to Dylan. It was truly pathetic. This was the woman I had loved for 7 years. Seeing that I was still angry, she simply stopped trying to appease me and grew impatient, stomach bleeding. "Aren't you fine now? You're perfectly healthy." "I'm fine. Perfectly healthy." What ironic words, coming from the girlfriend I'd been with for 7 years. If only she had paid a little, just a little attention, she would have found the diagnosis report on her dressing table. The truth was, the diagnosis report had been gathering dust on her table for days. She would also have noticed my increasingly thin body and the large clumps of hair around the house. But Victoria was immersed in the joy of her pregnancy. How could she notice me? The woman's face hardened, and she retorted sharply, "Besides, they're letting me be Margaret. Shouldn't I thank them properly?" I was stunned. Rage surged through me, accompanied by sharp abdominal pain. In 7 years of dating, it was the first time I had yelled at her, "Thanking them for letting you be Margaret." "She's insane." She frowned, covered her ears, and sat back on the sofa. "Why are you yelling at me so loudly?" Victoria's tone was full of disdain, and her words were nothing but accusations. "You can't have children yourself, and you won't let me have them with someone else? Can't you be a little more understanding?" A deep sense of powerlessness enveloped me, rendering me immobile. Finally, Victoria slammed the door and left. Not returning until morning, I didn't prepare breakfast for Victoria and swallowed a few more painkillers. Just as I got downstairs, I ran into Victoria and Dylan. She gave me the cold shoulder, just like she always did after an argument. Victoria used to say there were professional boundaries, that work and personal life shouldn't be mixed. That's why she never wanted to take me to work, worried about colleagues gossiping. Now, however, she deliberately woke up early to pick Dylan up for work. Looking back, how foolish I was. As soon as I entered the company, colleagues congratulated me one after another. "Congratulations, Ethan. You're going to be a father." "Yes, you kept such big news a secret. When are you getting your marriage certificate with Ms. Victoria?" Dylan looked wronged and rushed into Victoria's office. I was called into the office. Dylan's eyes were red, like a wounded rabbit. "Victoria, I'm the baby's father. When are you going to break up with that kept man?" Victoria stroked his head, comforting him patiently. "Soon." I'm disgusted just by looking at him. Even though Victoria didn't like me, a faint pain still welled up in my heart. Seeing me, Victoria's anger flared, and she pointed at my nose, cursing, "Ethan, why didn't I know before that you were so malicious? How do you expect Dylan to get along with colleagues in the company?" I laughed. In her eyes, everything was my fault. How he gets along is his business. What does it have to do with me? Dylan immediately retorted, "You're just jealous of me and deliberately slander me at the company." Victoria warned me again, telling me not to speak carelessly. Soon, the gossiping colleague was found out. It had nothing to do with me. Unexpectedly, Victoria sent me a message apologizing and asked me to wait for her after work. "Didn't you say you wanted to see the tech exhibition? I have 2 tickets. How about I go with you?" I had always hoped Victoria would accompany me to the tech exhibition, so on a whim, I agreed. The sky gradually darkened, and the security guard's flashlight shone on my face. It turned out a long time had passed. The hour hand had quietly moved from 6 to 12. I waited for a long time, but Victoria never came. I opened my phone and checked social media, which was flooded with Dylan's posts of a candlelight dinner at a rooftop restaurant. Something that had been rooted in my heart for a long time vanished in an instant. After saying goodbye to the security guard, I went downstairs just as a torrential rain began to fall. Victoria drove back to pick up some documents and happened to run into me. "It's after work. Aren't you going home?" Victoria had completely forgotten about asking me to wait for her and had happily gone to dinner with Dylan. I scoffed. "Ms. Victoria is still important. People are forgetful. You told me to wait for you this afternoon, then turned around and went on a date with your little lover." Victoria's face showed embarrassment, which instantly vanished, her tone displeased. "If I didn't come, you should have just left. Can you stop being so sarcastic when you speak? Dylan and I are just friends. I treat him like a younger brother." I sneered and continued. "Eating a candlelight dinner with your younger brother? Having a child for your younger brother?" I looked at Victoria's still charming and beautiful face, trying to see a hint of guilt or apology. Unfortunately, there was nothing. Victoria froze, just about to retort, but I had already disappeared into the rain. That night, my stomach pain was so severe I could barely breathe. I swallowed a few more pills to relieve the pain. A few minutes later, Victoria returned with Dylan. "You're home." "I brought Dylan back to stay for 2 days. You don't mind, do you?" Seeing my silence, Victoria thought I was throwing another tantrum and didn't want Dylan to stay. "Ethan, you're too inconsiderate." "How petty. Dylan's sick, and as an older sister, I should take care of my younger brother." I saw that Dylan's complexion was indeed worse than usual. "What's wrong with him?" Victoria cast a concerned glance at Dylan. "Oh, he has stomach problems. He doesn't eat properly." Victoria could immediately notice Dylan's stomach problems. Yet she was completely unaware that I had stomach cancer. The difference between love and indifference was stark. My heart ached as if being clutched. Victoria nudged me. "Go make him a bowl of porridge." The porridge she mentioned was one I had specially prepared for her. Having tried many versions, only the most suitable one for her remained, and now she wanted me to make it for another man. My stomach began to ache abnormally, and my body trembled uncontrollably. Seeing that I hadn't moved, Victoria urged me. "You live off me? Now you're dragging your feet just to make a bowl of porridge?" Another sharp pain twisted in my stomach, and a metallic taste rose in my throat. "Your face looks so terrible. Don't tell me you're sick next." "Ha, stop pretending. It's disgusting." "Dylan will sleep in your room." "And you'll sleep on the sofa," Dylan gloated. "Ethan, he's too eager for attention. No wonder Victoria doesn't like him." Victoria tapped his nose, a doting gesture. "You talk too much." I forced myself back to the room, not wanting to stay in this disgusting place. It wasn't until I had packed my things and gone downstairs that Victoria noticed me. "What are you doing packing so much stuff in the middle of the night?" Since I started dating Victoria, she had said she liked there to be a light burning for her in the city. So I stayed in the house for 7 years, cooking for her every day, waiting for her to come home. Yet she was out on dates with Dylan, having a child for Dylan. She realized I was leaving. "You're leaving?" She thought it was about the exhibition that made me unhappy. Victoria lowered her stance again, speaking in a gentle tone tinged with imperceptible flattery. "Are you angry?" "I promise I'll go to the exhibition with you next week." I shook my head, my voice flat. "No need." Victoria became even more agitated. She snatched my luggage, looking up to question me. "Is it really necessary to leave? I already told you Dylan is just my younger brother. What are you still angry about?" "Dylan and I didn't have sex. I just borrowed his sperm." Only Victoria could describe infidelity so self-righteously. I was utterly disappointed and asked her in a low voice, "Isn't that cheating?" Victoria sneered, her beautiful eyes glancing at me scornfully, her tone aggressive, "Which I saw Dylan and me lying in the same bed. Or were we caught in the act by you?" She escalated. "Bah! A dirty mind sees dirt everywhere." She tried to continue, but I stopped what I was doing and interrupted her. I knew it was pointless to reason with her, and I no longer had the energy to argue. "Let's break up. I'm moving out today." Seeing my firm attitude, Victoria retorted, "Fine, then break up. Don't regret it." Before I left, Victoria was nestled in Dylan's arms, and the two were having a blast. "Victoria, he's gone. He won't come back, will he?" Victoria looked at me coldly, a mocking curve forming on her red lips. "He's just a good little dog. In a few days, he'll come crawling back to me." After she finished speaking, they both burst into laughter. Finally, I picked up my suitcase, carrying my diagnosis report, and left this home of 7 years. My heart was calm as still water. Victoria didn't know I would never come back. Before leaving Sterling City, I had to go to the company to submit my resignation letter. As required, as soon as I stepped through the main gate, I learned that the entire company knew about Dylan and Victoria's relationship. As soon as she joined the company, the president's assistant got the job through connections. Ms. Victoria's baby is probably his too, male homewrecker. After hearing this, Dylan cried for a long time. Victoria, for his sake, fired several of the leading figures in the company to vent his anger. I didn't understand. Some of them had been with the company since its inception, working hard together. Is this what you call professional boundaries? They don't know the truth, and you just fire them? Dylan's eyes were full of triumph, his expression proud. The company belongs to Victoria. She can fire anyone she wants. Victoria and I had built the company together. She said she wanted to be independent, a strong woman. I was willing to be an employee and assist her, but in the end, I couldn't even protect the colleagues we had worked with. Guilt surged over me like an overwhelming tide. Frank comforted me as he left. It's nothing. I didn't want to work here anymore anyway. Didn't you introduce me to a better place? However, before Frank left, he exposed Victoria's embezzlement of public funds. Dylan had accumulated gambling debts abroad, and even after returning home, he was incorrigible. He used the pocket money Victoria gave him to gamble, lost everything, and even accumulated huge gambling debts. Victoria was also insane, actually embezzling public funds to cover his debts. Facing the company we had built from scratch, I couldn't help but question her. Are you insane? You're using public funds to clean up his mess. You don't care about the company anymore? Victoria explained carelessly and perfunctorily. It's just a small matter. Won't we have money once the last project's payment is settled? Dylan echoed her from the side. Exactly. Victoria is the president of a large company. How could she not pay it back? I said nothing more. I knew you can't reason with someone who's determined to self-destruct. Let them fend for themselves. That night, back at the hotel, I suddenly received a call from the doctor saying Henry had a brain hemorrhage and was admitted to the hospital. If it had been any later, he wouldn't have made it. It turned out my birthday was approaching, and my father had secretly come to see me, wanting to give me a surprise. He came to the house to find me and had an argument with Dylan at the doorstep. Henry collapsed outside the door, and a kind stranger took him to the hospital. While waiting for the surgery, Victoria arrived with Dylan. Victoria's face showed apology, and she reached out to pull my arm. I'm sorry, I didn't know he was your father. I shook her off, and she stumbled and fell to the ground. Dylan quickly helped her up. Victoria didn't mean it. What are you doing? Who knew that raggedy old man was your father? I raised my fist, but Victoria stood in front of him, her apology from a second ago completely gone. All right, he didn't do it on purpose. Some old man suddenly showed up claiming to be your father. Dylan didn't recognize him. That's why they argued. You don't take good care of Henry yourself, and then you blame others when something happens. It was only now that I realized Victoria was so acid-tongued and unreasonable. I questioned her loudly. Dylan didn't recognize Henry, but didn't you? How ridiculous it sounded when said aloud. Victoria was instantly silenced. That's right, she knew Henry. Her lips trembled, and after a moment, she seemed to convince herself we didn't do it on purpose. It's your dad who's feeble. It felt as if I had heard the biggest joke in the world. I sneered at her, speaking the truth word by word. It's because I broke up with you, and you were upset, so you deliberately took it out on Henry. For the first time in my life, I regretted meeting Victoria. If I had known it would come to this, I would never have started. I almost lost my father. Rage ignited in my mind. I pushed Victoria away. I punched Dylan repeatedly, leaving him bruised and swollen, until the people around me pulled me away. Dylan and Victoria were taken away by the police and would be detained for some time. Henry, who was already in poor health, looked 20 years older after this accident. His temples were streaked with gray, his body reduced to skin and bones, and he was hooked up to tubes. Dad? I held his hand, my voice trembling. Father didn't have the strength to squeeze my hand back. Son, you've lost weight. If you're tired from work, make sure to rest. Henry's caring words reached my ears, and my eyes welled up. Guilt, self-blame, and a mix of emotions swirled within me. Leaving the hospital room, Margaret's video call came in. Your birthday is coming soon. Your dad specially brought gifts to see you. When are you coming home to visit? I covered my mouth, and tears streamed down my face after being discharged from the hospital. I blocked all of Victoria's contact information. I took the earliest flight out with my father, bidding farewell to everything here. The morning sun falling on me brought a sense of ease I had never felt before. Just after landing, I received a call. Ethan, where have you gone? Dylan didn't mean it. Can I apologize to you? I ignored her. After hanging up, I threw the SIM card into the trash. As soon as I got off the plane, there were over a dozen missed calls. Father smiled and said, "Look how worried your mom is. She's been waiting for you. She heard you were coming back, and she got up at 6 to buy groceries." Margaret anxiously waited at the door, taking my luggage from me. Back home, Margaret had already prepared my favorite dishes. Her hand stroked my shoulders, her fingers trembling. Tears welled up in her sunken, cloudy eyes. She mumbled, "It's good you're back. You've lost weight." I hadn't yet told my parents about having cancer. I didn't know how to bring it up. They only had one son in this lifetime, and I hadn't yet had the chance to repay their kindness, yet I was making them parents burying their child. I didn't know how to speak, but I hadn't expected them to see my diagnosis report. The three of us cried together. My parents unanimously decided that they would rather go broke and sell everything to get me treated. I reassured my parents not to worry about the money. I went to meet someone who had always wanted to collaborate with me. The secretary led me to the top floor. "Ms. Audrey is inside." I knocked, and a pleasant yet cool female voice responded, "Please come in." Upon entering, there was a huge floor-to-ceiling window. The office was decorated in a minimalist black and white style. The person who had been facing away turned around. "It's you. Long time no see, Senior." Audrey walked over, smiling, dressed in a sharp, clean-cut white suit. It accentuated her tall, curvaceous figure. I exclaimed in surprise. "So the big boss behind the invitation to collaborate with me is actually you." A year ago, my design caught the eye of a boss who wanted to poach me. At the time, I was unwilling to leave Victoria, so I politely declined, but the boss said that whenever I changed my mind, I just needed to make a call. Audrey had already prepared the contract I would design for her, and she would provide me with top-tier medical treatment for my cancer. "Pleasure working with you." After leaving the company, I unexpectedly received a message on my phone. "Ethan, where have you gone? Ms. Victoria is searching everywhere for you." I didn't reply and instead blocked the sender. Before I could block them, another video was sent over. It was surveillance footage from Victoria's office, showing Victoria and Dylan arguing heatedly. She screamed hoarsely, "Dylan, you said you wouldn't do it again, and now you owe this much. Making me clean up your mess. I'm not your mother." Dylan knew Victoria was very fond of him, so he acted with impunity. After Victoria helped him settle his gambling debts, Dylan accumulated many more. By this point, Victoria was already at wit's end, and the company was nothing but an empty shell. At this point, she thought of me. The investments and deals during the company's startup phase were almost entirely brought in by me, yet she considered it to be only natural, something I should contribute. The results of our joint efforts were also, to her, simply expected. For a period afterward, I actively underwent treatment and blocked all contact from Victoria. After helping Audrey secure an important partnership, she insisted on driving me home, saying it was to thank me. At the entrance of the apartment building, I saw Victoria, who had lost a lot of weight. Audrey nudged my arm with her elbow. "Ex-girlfriend?" Victoria's face turned fierce. "Bitch, stay away from my boyfriend." Audrey was pushed to the ground by her, feeling quite embarrassed. I helped her up. Victoria stood with her arms crossed, looking down imperiously. "Ethan, don't help her. It'll be good to you. Don't be ungrateful. You've been gone for a month or so, and I haven't even docked your pay. Just come back with me obediently, and stop associating with some disreputable woman." Audrey's elbow was scraped and bleeding, but I didn't pay attention to Victoria. "It's bleeding. Let's go up so I can treat it for you." Victoria's threat came from behind me. "Ethan, if you dare to take her, we're breaking up." I turned back and sneered. "We already broke up." I took Audrey home. My parents were a bit surprised by Audrey. They grilled Audrey with questions, making her blush. "Mom and Dad, she's my boss. What are you talking about?" I found some iodine and cotton swabs, treated her wound, and then walked her downstairs. Victoria had disappeared, and I let out a sigh of relief. The next day, when I went out for a follow-up check, I ran into Victoria squatting by the door. "Ethan, where are you going? Are you secretly going on a date with yesterday's seductress?" She reached out to grab the bag in my hand and roughly pulled it open. "I want to see what good things you bought for her." She spoke as she opened the bag, and I watched her with cold eyes. A moment later, her anger suddenly vanished, replaced by disbelief. Her fingers trembled as she clutched the examination report. "Ethan has stomach cancer." I snatched the examination report. "Have you seen enough?" Victoria clearly didn't believe it, and her expression became even more certain. "It must be fake. Are you pretending to be sick just to make me feel guilty?" I pushed past her and left. "Whether it's real or fake, it has nothing to do with you. Don't come looking for me again." She chased after me, slightly out of breath, speaking slowly, word by word. "All right, I believe you now, okay? Come back with me." Seeing no reaction from me, she continued, "I was busy during that time. The company had too much business, so I didn't pay attention to you." I glanced at her askance, letting out a cold laugh. "Stop pretending. Aren't you tired?" She froze in place. The examination results were very good. My heart, which had been in my throat, finally settled. Audrey's company was developing steadily. After securing another large deal, the company had a party. She prepared to open another private room for singing. Colleagues were enthusiastic. While Audrey sat quietly on the sofa eating fruit, the overhead lights shone on her hair, haloing her. She was pushed up to sing by other colleagues. Audrey sang beautifully. Her voice was sweet and ethereal, instantly captivating listeners. The crowd started cheering, pushing me onto the stage. It would be a lie to say I wasn't moved, but how long could temporary sincerity last? Audrey across from me had already blushed deeply, lowering her head shyly. Just as I was about to interrupt the cheering, a loud shout suddenly came from outside the door. "What are you doing? Doesn't that bitch have her own man? Why is she seducing my boyfriend?" The lively atmosphere instantly quieted down. Victoria rushed up to Audrey, raising her hand. "You can't be good, so you're a homewrecker." "Enough, Victoria. Aren't you tired of making a scene?" I stood in front of Audrey, just as she had once stood in front of Dylan. "We broke up a long time ago. Doesn't the esteemed Ms. Victoria find this embarrassing?" I finished speaking expressionlessly, the disdain and dissatisfaction in my eyes clearly visible. "Oh, so they broke up. Why is she still bothering him?" Victoria froze for a few seconds, then grabbed my sleeve, her expression plaintive. "Dylan and I have no relationship. I just used his younger brother's sperm." Everyone's disgusted and disdainful gazes fell upon her. How shameless! Pregnant with someone else's child, yet claiming to be innocent, Victoria still didn't give up. Wasn't I just trying to leave a family legacy for Ethan's friend? What did I do wrong? Even if I had an affair with Dylan, we're separated now. The other colleagues left one after another, leaving only the three of us in the vast private room. Audrey couldn't help but retort, "Only you can spin your shamelessness so elegantly." Victoria couldn't take it and shrieked loudly, "Ethan, aren't you going to say something for me?" I took Audrey's hand and left, turning back to tell her, "Audrey didn't say anything wrong. You should be more understanding. It's just a small matter." I returned the hurtful words she had once directed at me, precisely as they were spoken. Victoria lost all color, falling to the ground like a kite with a broken string. Just as I exited the karaoke bar private room, I ran into Dylan. Victoria followed me out, shouting at my retreating back, "You've loved me for so many years. Were you lying to me?" Dylan went to help Victoria up. I cast a reassuring glance at Audrey, letting her know she was safe. "It's true that I loved you before, and it's also true that I don't love you now." Victoria desperately shook her head, covering her ears. Unwilling to hear the truth, I spoke. "No, I don't believe it. You're lying to me." I looked down at her with cold eyes. "Whether you believe it or not is your business, Dylan. Take good care of your wife. Don't keep coming to me." Victoria didn't follow. Audrey had a bit to drink, so I took her home. As soon as she got into the passenger seat, she fell asleep, her cheeks rosy. Once we arrived, I gently called out to her to get out. "We're home." Audrey suddenly leaned close to me, her pleasant peach scent enveloping me. Her eyes were hazy, her beautiful eyes clouded with a mist, and her red lips were luscious. I turned my head away, forcing myself not to look at her. "Ethan, I like you. Please consider me, please." She began to act playfully. After taking her home, I fled in disarray. I hadn't slept all night, and went to work with dark circles under my eyes. I deliberately avoided Audrey and didn't see her all day. Just as I was about to drive away, Audrey tapped on the car window. "Ethan, are you avoiding me?" She slipped into the car. The air was instantly filled with her scent, and I could almost hear my own heart pounding. "And no," I stammered a little. She giggled. "Just messing with you." I drove her home. Before she got out of the car, she turned to me and said, "Don't forget to consider me." Unlike yesterday, I didn't flee in disarray. Instead, I nodded and said, "Okay." Her eyes curved into a smile. We were together. Back home, I received a call from Frank, who told me the company had gone bankrupt. I felt no ripples in my heart, for I had long known this day would come. Victoria had no business acumen whatsoever. She had made a fortune relying on the deals I secured. Later, due to the embezzlement of public funds, she had already offended several major partners. Dylan had no ability either, and couldn't secure any partnerships, so bankruptcy was only a matter of time. It just happened much faster than I expected. I saw Victoria again when Audrey and I were returning home from a date. My parents were very pleased with Audrey and wanted us to get married quickly. Audrey and I were holding hands. Victoria looked much more haggard. Her figure was thin. She had lost a lot of weight, and her hair was dull and yellowish. Seeing me, she immediately came forward. "Ethan, I had an abortion. Please don't be mad, okay?" When she mentioned the child, I stared at her stomach, which was indeed flat. But the child would have been almost 4 months old. My brows furrowed. "You're insane? You were so desperate for the child, and now you don't want it?" She tugged at my sleeve and knelt down. "Husband, I truly know I was wrong. I love you. Please forgive me this one time, okay?" I swear he'll live a good life with you from now on. With a cold expression, I pulled my hand free from her grasp and stepped back a few paces. Forgive you for cheating. Forgive you for telling others my secret as gossip? Victoria, let's part ways with some dignity. I took Audrey's hand and left. Victoria stood up, intending to chase after us, but fell to the ground. I truly was wrong. Please forgive me. Her cries of apology drifted away on the wind, growing fainter and fainter. Eventually, they faded completely. I closed the front door. Henry and Margaret were out buying groceries. Audrey sat beside me without speaking, then got up to pour a glass of water. I took the water, my face full of apology. I'm sorry, Audrey. I didn't handle my own affairs well. There's something else I need to confess to you. I'm infertile. Audrey didn't seem surprised, calmly eating grapes. I know. I don't plan on having children either. She told me that her father, Henry, was a philanderer and had many illegitimate children outside of his marriage. It was the presence of his mistress in their home that led to her mother, Margaret's, death from depression. She couldn't guarantee she'd be a good mother, so she chose not to have children. The next day, Victoria knelt downstairs, admitting her mistake. Passing neighbors pointed and whispered about our family, saying we had wronged the girl. This infuriated Henry's mother, Margaret. I went downstairs. Victoria had been kneeling all night. Her lips were pale and cracked, and she was swaying unsteadily. The neighbors, one by one, spoke up for her, defending her. Look at that girl. She's kneeling so long she's about to faint. I heard the girl was pregnant, and that Ethan didn't want it, so she had an abortion. Victoria's tears flowed ceaselessly, her pale skin making her appear even more fragile. Ethan, you're here. I'll beg on my knees, okay? As long as you can forgive me, I'll do anything. She thought I was still the easily persuaded Ethan from before, that her tears could soften my heart. Before I could say anything, Henry rushed over, pointing at Victoria's nose and scolding her. You have the nerve to say that? I went to your house to see you and Ethan, but I found you entangled with another man. I, an old man, went to reason with you, but I was pushed to the ground by her lover. Victoria shook her head, tears streaming down her face. That's not how it was. Dad, Dylan and I are innocent. Henry clearly didn't believe her, letting out a cold snort. He said I was a beggar from God knows where, dirty and ugly. He suddenly raised his voice, questioning her. And you have a venomous heart. You let him insult me after I fainted. You closed the door and continued to have fun. Victoria was speechless, unable to answer, her gaze involuntarily darting away. The surrounding neighbors also realized they had been deceived. How could a seemingly decent young woman do something so shameless? Exactly. And she still has the nerve to kneel downstairs at their place. Is she trying to moral blackmail the Gu family? It's still unknown whether the child in her belly is Ethan's or not. At this, Henry became even more enraged. That child in her belly. Our family wasn't blessed enough to have it. Seeing that Henry was about to blurt it out, she immediately explained, the child in my belly is indeed not Ethan's. The neighbors finally got the full scoop and dispersed. I didn't want to get tangled up any further, so I urged Victoria to leave. All right, Victoria, stop disturbing my life. Let's go our separate ways. Our lives are no longer intertwined. She couldn't accept it and burst into tears. I'm sorry, I just realized I really love you. If only she had known this earlier, there would have been no need for any of this. Victoria didn't appear for the next few days, and I calmly prepared to propose to Audrey. She wasn't someone who liked grand gestures, but I wanted to give her a proposal ceremony that was truly hers. The proposal location was set in a forest. When she arrived, many fawns appeared. I knelt on one knee and opened the box, revealing a ring inlaid with various diamonds. Audrey cried tears of joy, covering her mouth with her hand. My heart was pounding with nervousness, and my lips trembled. My mind went blank. All the words I had prepared completely vanished on the spot. It wasn't until the ring was slipped onto Audrey's slender ring finger. Her voice trembling, she said, "Yes, I do." I was so excited I wanted to pick her up and spin her around. At that moment, my heart seemed to beat anew. When winter arrived, Audrey and I officially got engaged. I went from being her business partner to her husband. Audrey was always busy with work, and I was also busy opening my own exclusive studio. As a result, we only had time for our honeymoon at the end of the year. She wanted to go to Ocean View, smiling as she said, "I want to see the places you've been." We made no preparations, just as I had left before. The next day, Audrey and I returned. Frank, I don't know how he found out, came to pick me up at the airport. Frank? Long time no see. Frank took Audrey and me out to eat, congratulating me on my engagement. Unexpectedly, we ran into Victoria again. She was working as a waitress at the restaurant. I secretly asked Frank, "Did you arrange this?" Frank looked utterly bewildered. "Not me. I just picked a random restaurant." Audrey spoke up, "It's fine. Let's just finish eating and then leave." Victoria only came once to take our order and didn't appear again afterward. Frank was the first to speak. "Sister-in-law, don't worry. My brother has no one else in his heart but you." She nodded and smiled, then asked, Why is she here? Audrey knew Victoria well. Even if her company went bankrupt, she wouldn't resort to washing dishes. Frank smiled knowingly, and only then did I understand. Victoria had secretly aborted the child to win me back, driven by a desperate resolve. The pregnancy was advanced, and the forced abortion had also harmed her body. When Dylan found out she had aborted the child, he completely lost his mind. Dylan was a playboy. Besides Victoria, he was also using Victoria's money to support several college girls as his mistresses. What was also unexpected was that no one else besides Victoria had become pregnant with his child. That's why he valued Victoria's pregnancy so much. When he found out the child was gone, he brutally beat Victoria. He revealed his true colors, forcing Victoria to go out and work to support him. If Victoria dared not to go, she would be beaten even more severely. After listening, Audrey cursed under her breath. What an animal. After dinner, Frank had a few drinks, so I called a designated driver to take him home first. After they left, Victoria called out to me. Although she was wearing thick clothes, I could tell she had lost a lot of weight, and her neck and hands were covered in bruises. She tentatively asked, "Ethan, do we still have a chance?" I raised the ring on my hand. "I love my fiancé very much." Her tentative gaze withdrew, and Victoria sadly replied, let's go." I took Audrey's hand and left. As we stepped out, withered yellow leaves fell onto my head. She stood on tiptoe to brush them off. I thought, I've truly found the one I'm meant to be with. After returning, the first thing Audrey did was pull me to get a health checkup. After confirming everything was fine, we began preparing for the wedding without delay before the new year. The wedding was grand, and we were both overwhelmed with preparations. That evening, we counted the wedding gifts at our marital home. She laughed happily and also complained, "You know what? During the toasts, my face hurt from smiling so much. This kind of wedding, once is enough." I was surprised. "You want to get married how many times?" "Audrey, next time. He'll still marry you." Late at night, another call came in. I answered it groggily. "Hello." There was a few seconds of silence on the other end. "Happy wedding, Ethan. Do you still remember me?" I sobered up, realizing it was Victoria calling. "No, I don't." Victoria hummed in acknowledgement, and the call ended. After marrying Audrey, we jointly purchased another house near Henry and Margaret. Neither of us cooked, so we went to Henry and Margaret's house to mooch for meals every day. Henry made us pay for our meals. During a chat with Frank, I learned about Victoria again. After Victoria called me that day, she was caught by Dylan again. Dylan was a man of one rule for them, another for others. He thought his own infidelity was justified. In his words, it was only right for a man to have multiple wives and concubines. After Victoria ran out of money to cover his gambling debts, his attitude towards her did a complete 360-degree turn. It ranged from verbal abuse and beatings to drawing blood. Victoria finally couldn't take it anymore and in her sleep, stabbed Dylan to death. She went to jail and was sentenced to life imprisonment. She wanted to see me one last time. I refused. Everything was her choice. We would not meet again in the future. After the call with Frank, Audrey was already at the door, her makeup done, waiting for me. She urged, "What are you waiting for? Hurry up and go to Henry and Margaret's to mooch for meals. Otherwise, there won't be any meat left later." You see, the greatest happiness was already right beside me. The sun was so beautiful today.